Zaila Avant-garde is a tremendous name. That woman is going places.
I mean, she is.
She already has.
Yeah. I know, but even more. I mean, she's 14 now. I mean, imagine what adult life would be like for Zaila Avant-garde.
Whittingham, she's in 8th grade. What do you mean she's going places? She just mastered the spelling bee, and
long way to go, Dan.
Her father has said she just knew how to spell everything the very first time that she saw the spelling bee. I think she's also changed her last name as an 8th grader. I believe Avant-garde is not actually her last name. I believe she changed it in homage that I'm too ignorant to even know what the homage is there.
Now I don't like her anymore.
What do you mean?
Finding out that she changed her name too much.
As an 8th grader, to have the confidence to not only win the spelling bee, to be great at basketball. She seems like a Renaissance 8th grader.
She's a Guinness world record holder for most dribbles with 4 balls at the same time. And she's got a bunch of records. I was so in on this story until just this moment, Dan, and now I'm out.
I'm out too. Yeah, Zaila Avant-garde is absolutely going places and has been places. But how about Zaila Peterson? Not the same. Doesn't slap the same way. If I change my name from Mike Ryan to Mike Pinache, I might be going places too. You can't cheat that way. You can't just change your name to an impressive sounding last name.
An article I'm reading from ABC7 Chicago says that her father gave her the last name. Her father's name is Jawara Spacetime.
Wow. Come on.
Gave her the last name Avant-garde in tribute to jazz great John Coltrane.
I'm back in again.
Hey. Hold on. Because Zaila Spacetime is also going places, maybe the moon. Did her father also change his last name? Is this just the thing in this family where you pick your last name?
By the way, this was the day that Stugotz should have been here in studio, because you know what word she spelled correctly to win the spelling bee?
I don't know how it's pronounced. I saw how it was spelled, and it looks like the word that we have copyrighted around Stugotz, because when he was slinging munis in Boca, he knew at every turn that he needed to be calling people who were named Murray. But is that how the word is pronounced? I didn't know what the word meant. I didn't know how to spell the word. I always feel ignorant watching these.
It's a genus of tropical, Asiatic, and Australian trees, Dan.
Maria.
Chris Whittingham is a fancy lad.
You earned that one that time, Chris.
He knew that off the top of his head. He was not reading that at all. It's just information that he keeps in his head. But yes, Stugotz likes to shout Murray at every given occasion.
Murray!
Such enthusiasm. He goes to get it from the groin there. So Spacetime was the real name, though? That wasn't the name change before Avant-garde? That doesn't seem like it would be a real name. Do you know, have you ever heard of anyone named Spacetime?
No, it's not a popular surname. As far as I'm concerned, it's a fake one, too.
You never heard of Bob Spacetime?
What are you laughing at that for? Haberstroh, you sounded the way that James Harden.
He's reeled me back in. He's reeled me back in.
Yeah,
I was out on Amin. My thing is, this girl, she's in 8th grade and she's not just dribbling, she's on a unicycle dribbling. She's standing on 2 basketballs and dribbling. So we're actually shortchanging her by saying she's got the Guinness World Records for just dribbling a basketball. No, she's doing these crazy things while dribbling. Very avant-garde of her.
Chris Cody, it is. It was said like Elmer Fudd. World records is exactly how he said it, and I felt for him. I wasn't.
You guys are mean.
I
don't give a shit about anyone today.
Wow.
Tom, are you with Amin on the idea that the finals are over and you'd be surprised if the Bucks won a game?
I wouldn't go as far to say that this is over in 4, but I do agree with Amin. I said Suns in 5 before the series. I do agree that the Bucks are done. The thing about this series is Drew Holiday, the reason why they paid 4 draft picks, 4 first-round picks in the offseason to get Drew Holiday was that he would be a stopper in the playoffs. And he's not doing that. Literally the backcourt for the Phoenix Suns, Devin Booker and Chris Paul, have scored the most points in NBA Finals history through 2 games for a starting backcourt. In NBA history, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Joe Dumars, Isaiah Thomas, you go on down the line. Devin Booker and Chris Paul are having the highest scoring first 2 games in Finals history for a starting backcourt. So he's shooting 31% from the floor. Last night, Jeff Van Gundy is slandering him for being too aggressive. Mark Jackson's like, I really like how Drew Holiday is being aggressive out there, 11 shots in the first quarter. And Jeff Van Gundy was like, it'd be great if he made a few too. And so when he is being traded for above Eric Bledsoe, like how much better, Amin, do you think Drew Holiday is than Eric Bledsoe to have 4 first-round picks for him to perform like this on the biggest stage?
He's better than Eric Bledsoe, and he's 4 first-round picks and 3 pick swaps better if he actually shows up. It can't be not for this. You don't mortgage your future. And by the way, is this the end of mortgaging the future? We saw Paul George. We saw Drew Holiday. Or is this the end of people giving up the farm for somebody who isn't quite worth it, but this is the move?
What about Houston giving up the farm for to get rid of Chris Paul?
Yeah.
To get Russell Westbrook. They gave a huge package to just get rid of Chris Paul for Russell Westbrook. And the other thing is here, like, I want to say the Bucks should go small, but they can't because Bryn Forbes can't guard anybody. And so they can't play Pat Connaughton and Bryn Forbes to space the floor and get more shooting on the floor because Chris Paul and Devin Booker are just going to go down there and just roast them defensively. So I don't know what counters the Bucks go from here because Eric Bledsoe, this is what we railed on this guy for, is Eric Bledsoe couldn't get into the paint and convert. He couldn't get open shooters for his teammates. And now this is what's happening with Drew Holiday. And you can imagine, like, maybe Giannis Antetokounmpo doesn't re-sign or sign the extension if that deal doesn't happen. So you can argue that the Drew Holiday trade was not so much about
You have
Drew
to argue
Holiday.
that. You have to argue that. It's not the end of it because what it did was secure not 2 years of Kawhi. It secured Giannis stays there, period.
And I understand we're talking about a postseason that saw injuries to Kyrie Irving and James Harden and Anthony Davis, hugely impactful injuries. But now in the finals, you're seeing Dario Saric be out with that ACL injury. And I think an injury that the Bucks suffered is actually showing its ugly head here in the finals, and that's Dante DiVincenzo, Amin.
Yeah, no, I agree. Look,
The Italian.
from Delaware. It's not the problem with the Bucks is it's a valid thing to bring up, except for the fact that they just beat a team that was missing Trae Young and they beat another team that was missing Harden and Kyrie. So we're going to have almost no sympathy for them in that regard. But he is a difference maker because he is one of their best defensive players on the perimeter, and he's a guy that can create his own shot and make 3-pointers. So, Tom, I mean, how do you feel if Dante DiVincenzo were healthy? They'd have a better chance at guarding Booker and Paul.
But I don't want to do this with you guys. I want to do the Drew Holiday. You're talking about somebody who's a first-team All-NBA defense player, but he's not as good at being a guard as the 2 guys that Phoenix has. Phoenix has won the first 2 games of this series because Booker and Chris Paul are exceptional at what they do and can turn that into a shooting show. And it doesn't matter who's on them. It doesn't matter. Devin Booker missed shots earlier in the playoffs because his face was broken and it's hard to play with a mask. But there is nobody in that sport who can guard Devin Booker, and there's nobody in that sport who can guard Chris Paul either.
Well, this is particularly a bad matchup for the Bucks because their primary defensive formation against the pick and roll is a drop coverage where Brook Lopez sits back in the paint and waits for you to come to him. The problem with Devin Booker and Chris Paul is that that's exactly the shot they want.
Yeah.
Devin Booker and Chris Paul are brilliant in the mid-range. They're layups for Chris Paul and Devin Booker. So now at the finals, you're asking Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis to do things that they're not comfortable doing, which is switching out on Devin Booker or Chris Paul. And the other thing is here, Torrey Craig could have been that guy to help them space the floor and have a great defender on those pick and rolls, but they gave him away for cash to the Suns or in the middle of the season. The other thing here is when you're looking at Dante DiVincenzo or Pat Connaughton, like they have to no matter if Dante DiVincenzo was in the finals, he'd have to hit shots. Pat Connaughton, Bryn Forbes, they have to be confident with their shot. The only way they're going to survive is if they get out in transition, get these open threes, and rain from downtown. The other team, the Phoenix Suns, were shattering records in this last game from downtown. It's just not working out for the Milwaukee Bucks in this series right now.
Yeah, and playing small might have been an option if Giannis were healthy, because then those switches and the helps and playing up defensively could occur. But his knee injury makes him kind of slow and gimpy, and that makes everything harder. The other thing is, this is something one of my buddies pointed out. When's the last time you saw Chris Paul make a half-court layup? He doesn't lay up, and I looked up the numbers. Like, it's true, about 5% of his shots occur at the rim. He doesn't want to lay the ball up. So waiting for him at the rim is actually the worst thing you could do, beyond the fact that he likes shooting that mid-range shot, is play up. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to turn the corner and lay it up? That never happens.
I like that we've been talking about how injuries can explain some of the things that we're seeing in this series, but I've never heard anybody articulate better what Chris Paul's knee situation is like than Tom Haberstroh, because let's heap some more praise on CP3 and what we're seeing. He was the piece that they needed. We thought it would be a superstar. Chris Paul's turned into that superstar, and he's done so on a knee that most of the general public has no idea how bad a shape it's in, Tom.
Well, everything on Chris Paul is out of shape. You got the knee problems over his career, and then you have the wrist injury that he's dealing with, the shoulder injury, and he's 6'1". The reason why we don't see 6'1", or barely 6'1", I mean, if you stand next to the dude, he's probably closer to 5'11", 6 feet tall. These guys in the NBA don't last long, because they've taken such a beat. Look at Allen Iverson. They've taken such a beating over their careers. And the fact that Chris Paul's doing this at 36 years old is ridiculous. And you have the hamstring issues. A lot of the issues that you see with knee injuries, you get these soft tissue injuries because you're pushing so much pressure on all of your muscles to compensate for the weakness in your knee. So like when Giannis Antetokounmpo has a bad knee going into this, I get worried that he's going to strain his calf. He's cramping up in this game. Or another soft tissue with a hamstring injury. So when Chris Paul is doing this, we have to remember most players, like Isaiah Thomas himself, was done for years at this stage of his career. It's incredible what we're seeing from Chris Paul, considering what he's dealt with throughout his career.
Is Chris Paul knee situation bone on bone?
Yeah, at this point, it's probably bone on bone. I'm not in there. I'm not looking at it, but it's probably bone on bone. And a lot of like Dwayne Wade at this stage of his career, same thing. There's just not a lot of cartilage there left for these guys at this point in their career. So he got a new diet. It seems to be working for him at this stage. But when people saw that trade for Chris Paul, it wasn't so much that they didn't believe that he could stay healthy. A lot of it is people don't think of Chris Paul as being great, all-time great, because he's never gotten to the finals before in this very Stugotz way. But everything we've seen from his career statistically is that this guy is a top 20 player all time. Like statistically, he is the top 10 player in PER, in win shares plus per 48 minutes, and blocks plus minus. Chris Paul, top 10 all time statistically. And so this is him finally having that revenge tour and saying, like, I can do this as long as my teammates and I stay healthy.
In the simplest form possible, we call what are great players? Great players are players that make other players great. Chris Paul does that. He's done it everywhere he's gone. He's got his flaws as far as he can be a little churlish. He can wear on you. But the one thing that is unequivocal, wherever he goes, he makes people better, and it's happened again, and it happened at the right time in the right place. The thing that I wonder about, Dan, is if Chris Paul doesn't go to Oklahoma City, or if he goes to Oklahoma City and they're just bad and he gets shut down or traded midway through, does he have the confidence to say, yeah, I'll play with these Phoenix Suns? Or does he look at them like, I'm not going to go to a lottery team. I'm 36. I need to be in a championship mode.
That was a borderline untradeable contract in a sport that doesn't have any of those. You guys are experts. Neither one of you would have dared be in a front office and trade for that contract and that body and that mileage.
I would have if I were Phoenix, because what an option do you have? You're not going to get a great player any other way. So Phoenix is a place where absolutely, even before him going to OKC and doing what he did, that's a place where you say, I'll take a flyer on him because I think he can help us, and we're not going to get help any other way. But for most other places, you're right, Dan. I'd be like Oklahoma City. I'll take him. You won't have to give me a lot of picks because I'm taking your problem off your hands. Doesn't matter how great he is as a player if he's an albatross of a contract.
Right, and he's got one more year on a player option. So when Phoenix is making that deal, it's like, all right, what are we going to use this cap space for? Like, are we going to be able to sign a big-time free agent with that cap? Are we going to be able to get Kawhi Leonard? No. So they're using that cap space on a player that they know can be really good and raise the floor of that team and raise the ceiling, as obviously as you see. And I just love, like, last night watching the game and seeing Monty Williams coaching up DeAndre Ayton and Ayton saying Chris Paul has been the best thing to happen to me in my career. Like, he's been a great leader. Like, I just want to point out here how hard it is for him. He's 22 years old in the finals. Chris Paul is your teammate, and he's on the verge of winning a championship. Chris Paul, at age 36, first time in the finals. You see your backup, Dario Saric, get hurt with a torn ACL. You see his backup, Torrey Craig, out with an injury. Everything now is sitting on the shoulders of DeAndre Ayton. Chris Paul's legacy on like what he's going to be known as with a championship on his resume. Like, if DeAndre Ayton gets in foul trouble in game 3, what happens? I mean, they're going to have to go small with Jay Crowder at the 5. I don't think they want to see Frank Kaminsky in the finals in crucial situations.
Didn't Fertitta call Chris Paul's contract the worst in all of sports?
In business. He said,
in all
was known as like.
And he would know a thing or two. He would know a thing or two about that because then he acquired Russell Westbrooks and then he acquired John Walls.
In all of business, can you make a distinction for me here? I mean, because you mentioned the idea, and I can't see this when I'm watching basketball. I can't agree with you when you tell me that Giannis Antetokounmpo is not healthy with what I saw yesterday.
Right.
And so what are you seeing there that I'm not seeing on defense? Because I can't look at that stat line and look at what I saw dominating that game and have anyone tell me that that's not healthy.
Defensively, he can't keep anybody in front of him. His closeouts are very tentative and kind of he's moving gingerly. And then when the player attacks, it's done. And as a result, he's a step slower in his rotations. He's a step slower in everything. And I think, to me, that's where you find out how much a guy is bothered by an injury he's recovering from. Again, I go back to the Durant example. Durant looked great offensively. But if you watch him on the other end, the stuff that he was doing in Golden State, he wasn't doing in Brooklyn. Now, you could say he didn't feel like doing it because Durant now has full reign to do whatever he wants. But I suspect that it's more of he can't rather than he doesn't want to. And obviously in the case of Giannis, we know he wants to. He's playing at the highest stakes possible right now. But I just don't think he has the reaction time because he's not moving as well.
Danny Trejo next.
This episode is brought to you by DraftKings. McGregor vs. Poirier 3 is all set for UFC 264, and DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC, has a knockout offer for this weekend's fight. DraftKings is offering 264-1 odds on a knockout in the first round during Saturday's main event. If the rubber match ends in a first-round knockout, you walk away with cash. Just pick the main event fighter you think will win by first-round knockout, and DraftKings Sportsbook will give you 264-1 odds on that fighter. That's right. Bet $1 on McGregor or Poirier to win by first-round knockout, and you win $264. There's no better way to put your MMA knowledge to the test than to put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Dan when you sign up to turn $1 into $264 when you bet on a main event fighter to win by first-round knockout. Place your bet and watch the fist fly this weekend. That's code Dan to turn $1 into $264 only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Hello, Danny. It is good to see you.
What's up? What's up? How you guys doing?
Look at this. The voice is gravelly and delightful, and we are happy to have you here. You've got a new book, My Life of Crime, Redemption, and Hollywood. It is available now. I like this line. I'm an ex-con turned icon.
Yeah, that was a saying Robert Rodriguez gave me. He told me, don't take voice lessons.
Your voice is so good. It's perfect.
Well,
do you have to do anything to keep it so raggedy, so jagged?
Well, I was trying to take voice lessons to like get like a, kind of like a Ricky Martin type boy, but it didn't work.
No, you failed miserably there. What can you tell us along your path why it is that you decided to write this book? People, you move people with your story.
I did a documentary. They did a documentary on me called Inmate Number One, and everybody thought it was like because I was in prison, and it wasn't. It was because I played inmate number one for the first 5 years of my career. It's like inmate number one, bad guy, Chicano dude with tattoos, mean guy, and so I wanted to kind of let people know who I was and what made me, and I honestly believe it came out pretty good. I like the way it came out. I found a friend of mine, Donald Logue, who's been my friend for 35 years, and since 1991. And I met Donald, and probably one of the most angriest people I've ever met. When I met him, I was at the Hollywood Drug and Alcohol Center. It's on Santa Monica Boulevard. And they used to have meetings there at 12 o'clock at night. And I walked into this meeting, and he was behind the counter, and I said, "Hey, what's up?" And all of a sudden, this little skinny white kid goes, "What do you mean, what's up?" And I looked at him, and I said, "Really?" I couldn't believe that this little redheaded kid was that angry. And I've known angry, I've known crazy. I've known people that were locked up in Vacaville because they were so angry. And it was I just thought somebody's going to kill this kid. I didn't meet him again until I did a movie called Reindeer Games, and he showed up, and it was God sent. And we became lifelong friends. And then he was the first one that I knew that was both an English major and knew the streets. He grew up in Calexico, right next to the border, so he didn't know the streets. He knew the alleys. I mean, Calexico is like, that's really part of Mexico, and so he knew when I let Maeve Cromie, the mother of my children, read it. She said, "This sounds like you." I got to say, it's like talking to you. So he caught it. Everybody else would maybe change a couple of words, to be grammatically correct or something. And it sounded like an English lesson. Yeah.
So how did it come to be that he was writing it for you, helping you shape it? What was what is the link here?
I would just, we would sit down. It took us 2 years. We'd sit down and we'd start talking, and he would record it, and then he would transcribe what I said. Because, the biggest word I know is prolific. And I learned that in Hollywood, as a prolific actor. And so, but Donald, he just caught it. He caught what I said. It wasn't what he thought I said or the way it should be said. He wrote what I said. And a perfect example was the fact that Maeve said, "Yeah, this is like talking to you."
What are the parts of the book that people are going to learn about you that perhaps they didn't know?
That, that I was just really broken, and the marriages that I ruined. It was, I really feel bad because, women a lot of times try to fix men, and, some men are broken, can't fix them. You just, just either bear with them or get them to therapy.
Broken by life?
you're broken by experiences, but you hide it very, very well. I mean, moms having affairs and can really kind of distort your dads. I never thought I was abused, and my dad woke me up choking me one time, screaming about why'd you lie, and I didn't know that was abuse. I thought I'd done something wrong. Somebody said, "You don't think your uncle giving you weed when you were 8 was abuse?" I said, "No, I thought it was sharing." And heroin at 12. And thank you for sharing.
That was normal to you. That childhood was normal to you.
That's what was around me. It was like my father was obsessed with the American dream, and that's owning a home and a car and a truck for work with a camper. And he's a hard worker. I got nothing. He was a hard worker, but my Uncle Gilbert, he was always dressed like a pimp. He was always like clean and pressed and $200 shoes and always had a big wad of money, and that impressed me. And he wasn't dirty or sweaty, and because everybody that I knew worked construction. You were either going to be a construction worker or a bum. I mean, because there wasn't like a lot of opportunity. I didn't know any Mexican lawyers.
How does heroin at 12 happen?
I caught my uncle, Gilbert, fixing heroin, and I threatened to tell if he didn't give me some. And you have to understand that I watched Gilbert, nod in the face of death. I can remember one time my grandfather was just screaming at us. And I knew he was going to hit me, and I'm pinching my cheeks because I didn't want to crap my pants when he slapped me. I look over at Gilbert, and Gilbert's like, nod now, and God, I want to be like that. I want to be able to have somebody screaming at me that they're going to break every bone in my body, and I want to go to sleep. And when he woke up, I'll never forget, my grandfather got so angry, he stormed into his bedroom, and Gilbert woke up, damn, did he hit us? He just didn't. I said, my God, I want to be this guy. And when I saw him fixing heroin, I seen what made that guy, give me some.
How much remorse, regret were you going through as you did this book and looked at the damage that you caused because you didn't know how to love right, or you didn't recognize love, or you didn't recognize abuse, or whatever it is that was happening there?
Great question, by the way. You know what? I've been trying to make amends for all the damage I've done since I got out of prison in 1969. I made a deal with God in 1968. If you let me die with dignity, I'll say your name every day, and I will do whatever I can for my fellow inmate. At the time, I said inmate because I never thought I was getting out of prison. And then when I got out of prison in 1969, I couldn't forget this deal. This wasn't a deal like, let me get that good job, or, dear God, don't let me get caught sneaking into my house, or let me pass that test. I asked him to let me die with dignity. And, so far he's kept his deal, and, I've been keeping mine. I talked to God a couple of days ago and asked him, how am I doing? He said, great, Trejo, you're almost out of jail, out of hell. Keep it up. So I'm still working to pay back.
You've been in how many movies? Do you know?
I don't know. They got me at 300 something. People ask me, oh, do you remember this movie? I don't. I remember Heat. I remember Desperado. I remember Spy Kids, Con Air, and From Dusk to Dawn.
And that's the list. You don't the other 300. You don't. They just run together.
They just all run together. I mean, it's like I've worked with people that I bump into the street. Hey, Trejo, and oh yeah. They have to remind me. I don't remember what I had for breakfast anymore.
Do you have a favorite experience? Not a favorite of the movies that you've made, but just as an experience that you remember, man, that was really magical. The doing of that, the process of it.
Well, I remember sitting down and Robert De Niro, I call him Bob, but Robert De Niro asked me, how do you want to do this, Dan? My death scene. And I said, I don't know, Bob, what do you think? And he says, I think you're almost dead. I think you're dying. You're dead. You just have enough. You just have enough left of you to ask me to kill you, to just have enough left, But you're slowly dying. Every word you say takes a little. And the way he said it was like, oh, hello, Bob, thank you. And I think my death scene in Heat, one of the best things they've seen in cinema. I mean, it was Bob De Niro. So I got to say that was one of the best.
New book, Trejo, My Life of Crime, Redemption, and Hollywood is available now. For all upcoming book signings, visit DannyTrejo.com/events.
Hey, you're in Miami, right? Where are you at? Miami?
Yes, sir. Miami Beach.
Yeah, do I have a pop-up restaurant in Miami?
Once a year they do pop-up.
Yeah, we do once a year. I was there last time, and wow, we killed it because it started raining and everybody ran in. And I'd been in Miami. I know it only rains for 5 minutes and then it's done. So I stayed out. So everybody loved my tacos.
Oh yeah, I was going to say someone just wanted to get in here and tell you how much he loved Trejo's tacos. He had a belly full of Trejo's tacos.
Oh yeah, I got him on Postmates. The salsa.
Hey, anytime you guys are in LA, let me know, man. And you got dinner on me.
I will do that. The next time I get to LA, I will seek you out and let you know.
We're going to find. We have to have video of us having tacos with Danny.
Hey, you know what? They actually we were looking at some spots in Miami for a restaurant. We got like Miami, Chicago, New York, Vegas, Denver, Hawaii. I can't wait to go to Hawaii.
Miami needs some tacos. We do not have enough people who make good tacos down here.
Hey, Danny, I just want to let you know, I have a podcast called Cinephobe where we watch movies that are poorly rated on Rotten Tomatoes, try to figure out whether they're accurately poorly rated or maybe they didn't get a fair shake. And we did Reindeer Games not too long ago, and one of my favorite lines in that movie, you said it, said, an intelligent country would legislate a second gift-giving holiday. You can call it Christmas, too. I love that line.
Oh, yeah. I remember. That's actually what I had met Donald Logue, the guy that helped me write this book. I'd met him at the Hollywood Drug and Alcohol Center late at night, and then I met him again on Reindeer Games, and he was jumpy. And it's funny the way God works things, because Vin Diesel had gotten the part that
that's right,
Donald got.
Yep.
But Vin Diesel wasn't like right for that part. You had to be like a really good actor to play that part. You know what I mean? And Vin Diesel's a good actor.
Whoa, Danny Trejo, you calm down right now with this slander of Vin Diesel. But
Vin Diesel got a style, and this guy had to be like goofy, and so they brought Donald up. So so God reintroduced me to him. He was going through a bunch of stuff with his wife and kids. So we bonded, man, and we've been friends ever since. That's who wrote my book.
That's awesome. Did you guys remember each other from seeing?
Oh, yeah. I told him. He didn't remember. I told you, he remembered me. We said, yeah, remember? I said, man, you were the angriest dude I've ever met. He said, man, I got married. I'm angrier.
Danny Trejo, I'll have you know that Vin Diesel is like the 8th highest grossing actor of all time in the United States.
Yeah.
So
and you know what? I kicked him off. I didn't kick him off the movie, but he was like torn because he had this other flick, and he was doing this Reindeer Games as a favor for some producer, right? And I said, what are you doing here, man? And he said, man, I got this thing. I don't know. I'm doing a favor. And I said, you ain't right for this, Holmes. He said, well, yeah, but I don't want to piss anybody off. I said, well, they're going to be more pissed if you get on camera and then they got to change it. And he says, I said, yeah, you ain't been on camera. You can split. And so when we're going to go pick him up the next morning, I called him. Hey, you coming down? No, Dad, I'm taking your advice. I'm going to do this other thing. I says, good. And then they sent Donald up. And so, and Vin Diesel went out here, Fast and the Furious. Come on, you better, so.
Did you see, Danny Trejo, that Vin Diesel wanted to do a musical of Fast and Furious?
Okay.
That is the perfect response, Danny. That is perfect. It is.
Tell them to put me in it.
Danny, thank you for being on with us. New book, Trejo, My Life of Crime, Redemption in Hollywood, is available now. Upcoming book signings. You want to visit DannyTrejo.com/events. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Miami.
There's been a sadness that sort of swept through the shipping container here, and I'm not sure what exactly has happened, but I am told there is a Darla on the line and that she is related. I don't know if all of you are familiar with this story, but there was a Leonard from Palm Springs who called us during the Freedom Marathon. There was some confusion about what he thought he was donating to, and he's got a bit of a temper problem, and he's called us a few times since. And now I'm told that Darla is on the line, and I don't know what has happened here, but I'm imagining I can't help but feel a little scared here because you guys are reacting in a way that's giving me a bad feeling.
Dan, I couldn't get to the bottom of it. There was quite a bit of emotion, but given how we've gotten to know Leonard over these last few weeks, I think I just cede the floor to Darla and get to the bottom of what's going on here.
Okay, so Darla, I'm sorry, what is your relation to Leonard, and why are you calling us? And hello, thank you for making time for us.
Thank you, Mr. Le Batard. Yeah, I'm Darla. I'm Leonard's granddaughter. I know you were really close to my grandfather, and he often spoke of the times you, Gene Mosh, and he went to friendlies for Fribbles after the Angels games. And he really cherished those memories. I just wanted to convey to you that it's really sad news. I'm sorry, but at the age of 91, as of 7:14 a.m. today, Leonard Graftings has passed away.
I'm so sorry, Darla. I'm sorry for your loss. I don't feel like it's an appropriate time to mention to you that I was not friends with your he just called a couple of times to the show. I don't.
Thank you, sir. Yes. He said you were quite close, and his memorial service is going to be Friday. In lieu of flowers, we're asking people to purchase Herbalife products from my husband Trevor and I, or to donate to the campaign to elect Lou Dobbs president. And if you still insist on sending flowers, I would ask you to look inward and examine your stubbornness and cruel inability to respect the grief of others.
Well, this is awkward, right? Because I'm sorry for your loss, but I don't think I don't think that you should parlay that into something that sounds sketchy.
Well, those were my grandfather's wishes. So I'm relaying that information. And as I said, you should look inward. That's all I'll say. And my grandfather had a really good life. He died peacefully. He died in bed at Bob Hope Memorial Hospital after succumbing to injuries suffered during a traffic altercation with a local motorcycle gang. He was in an intersection. He was actually in an intersection across from a gentleman's club called the Pirates Lap. And, there was a loud drunken crowd there, and they cheered and posted on social media.
I'm sorry you're emotional. Your grandfather had, it would appear from what little I know of him, that he seemed to have a temper problem.
Well, he didn't suffer fools lightly. I mean, we don't want to besmirch his name at this point, but actually if you really want to know what happened, one of the bikers' bumper stickers read "ass, grass, or cash, passengers must pay." And Leonard felt that he felt that it was disrespectful to women and children in the vicinity, and he let members of the Goblin Cox motorcycle gang know his feelings. And he held his own, though. He was getting in several punches. He was biting and even ripped a biker's eyes completely out. That's what they told me. And we're nothing but proud of him about how he fought against the Goblin Cox and their ceaseless assault.
What was the name of the motorcycle gang?
The Goblin Cox. That's what I was told.
I don't think that's appropriate.
Well, Mr. Le Batard, I don't think it's appropriate either, if you want to know, but I'm just telling you what I was told.
Is there anything
it sounded like quite a scene, but he was brave and he fought. He fought bravely. And actually, I think you'll be interested to know that he recorded a farewell message to his family and friends. And he mentioned you. And he mentioned you specifically, Mr. Le Batard. And if it's okay, I'd like to play the message for you on your PBS channel show that you do.
Okay, this is part of the confusion with your late grandfather. But yes, of course, please.
Okay, I'm going to get it set up here and I'm going to play it.
This is Leonard Graftings here at Bob Hope Memorial Hospital in Palm Springs. Bob Hope, a man that gave me so many hard laughs throughout my life. It's ironic that now I rest in the hospital bearing his name at my final moments. But this isn't sad. Please don't be sad for me. I feel such love towards the world, a world that sometimes I fought against so hard. But now I think of my beautiful children and my grandchildren. I have such love for them, except for Justin, who I haven't spoken to in 5 years. Such a snotty prick with that weird fashion hair and looking down his nose at me, and he's so cool. He means nothing to me, but all my other grandchildren and children have such love for. Melissa, not always. Melissa is so, that loud voice, that snorting laugh of hers, I never really cared for it, but she's my daughter, and I love her. She's also quite stingy with a penny. Not exactly the most generous one. My son Scott, God bless him, such a kind man. He battled a weight problem his whole life, and that oddly shaped head of his. And that walrus of a woman he married, but she gave him beautiful grandchildren, such love and tenderness towards everyone in my life. As my last moments play out, my granddaughter Darla, she's the most like me. She's got such fight in her. She did 90 days in county last year for sucker punching some who gave her a hard time in a supermarket, and I said, good for you, Darla. Good for you. But these last moments, I don't want to reflect on that. I feel such peace. My dear friend Dan Le Batard. Oh, the times we had watching PBS together with Gene Mock, drinking cold ales together. You with the PBS and the Faulty Towers, all the good times, but then you would have to get smart-assed with me and be Mr. Know-It-All, and Gene never liked that. I'm tired right now, but I want these last moments to be full of peace and love. But at the same time, I can't help but imagining just barreling into Dan and knocking him as hard as I can with my shoulder onto the ground, and then just being on his face in a second with my thumbs right in his eyes, fish hook in his mouth, and just digging my thumbs into his eyes and just telling him, yeah, who's the smart ass now? You fucking piece of shit. You don't fuck with me, because I fuck with you. But these aren't the times for those feelings. Just such peace over me, picturing kicking Dan's head till all kinds of fluids are on my Florsheim. My zipperless Florsheim boots covered with Dan's head fluids. and my sweet Gwendolyn waiting in the pearly gates for me. That's what I truly long for. God bless you all. Except Dan Le Batard. Dan Le Batard, I give you a straight up deep fried fuck you with a couple of pickles on the side and a glass of flat ginger ale. Fuck you, Dan Le Batard. And love and peace to everyone else on this planet except my grandson Justin and Dan Le Batard and my son Scott and his walrus wife. I love you all. Thank you for this glorious life. Except Justin, you little wiry piece of shit. I had you drug tested 3 times and you came back negative. I was shocked. I love you all, except you, Dan Le Batard. Fuck you.
Darla, I feel like that was really mean, what you and your family just did to me.
Well, I'm just relaying his wishes and playing his last message. So, receive it as you will. And I just like to ask you if you on your PBS station there could play Simon and Garfunkel live in Central Park in my grandfather's memory. My family and I would really appreciate it. I don't know how the entertainment world works. I'm so sorry, but please just do it.
We're not on PBS. I don't have the rights to that song. I'm not selling Herbalife for you and your family and your grandfather. I mean, he was really mean, and I'm glad to see him go.
Wow. Well, I'm just going to put you down for $10,000. For a $10,000 donation to my grandfather's Herbalife fund. Can I do that?
No, you can't. I'm going to let you go now, Darla. I'm glad that you're not in our lives anymore.
Well, I'm going to give you one more chance to do a $10,000 donation to my grandfather's Herbalife fund.
Not going to do it. Thank you for you and your grandfather your late grandfather, very stubborn. Thank you for calling in and relaying his last wishes. I'm sure he would.
You know what? F*** you with no chaser and a dirty glass with lipstick on it.
That seemed unnecessary. But okay.